When a woman is envious of another woman, she gets very obsessed with keeping you isolated from the pack. She does not want you to be around other people. This is what you typically see in envious, jealous, controlling friendships. There are some women who cannot really be friends with another woman who has a lot of likability, a lot of respect. She's beautiful. Other people are drawn to her. Women who call themselves friends with other women who are like that and they are jealous and envious of her, they always try their best to make sure they hold some kind of control over her. These are your women who are oftentimes friends with women who are not on their same low vibe. Women who are very jealous, envious, manipulative, and know how to use manipulation to control other people, they often find themselves being in friendships with people who feel for them. Women who are naturally kind, sweet, feminine, more soft in nature, they are so empathetic sometimes to the point where they don't understand the friend that you're giving the benefit of the doubt to, the friend that you're trying to see the best in, the friend that you're trying to help out. They're very envious of you, and because of that, they want to control you. Women who are envious of other women, sometimes they have the same mindset that an envious or jealous man would have toward a woman. They have that if I can't have you, nobody else can have you type of mentality. These are your women who get upset and jealous when you hang out with somebody different than them, when you do something without them, when you buy something without them. They are very controlling. They feel like your whole life should be consumed with them. And if other people like you, they don't like you. They envy the fact that other people actually like having you around and that your sole focus is not about them. I read a story recently about a case of an unfortunate incident of a young lady who lost her life back in 2022. The story was about Mimi and Mo. Mimi was the young lady who actually lost her life. This was a beautiful young woman. She had a roommate, which for me is strike number one, but she had a roommate named Mo. And this woman was very controlling, very jealous, very envious of her. Everything they did, the way the reporters described their relationship, they said that they were as tight. They were very tight. They were always together. They were always doing different stuff together. They were always going out together. Their whole friendship was just about them. Like they were very, very close. I know some people might see this as a positive, but because of the outcome of this story, I'm going to tell you why sometimes being close to a female, being that super tight with another woman can sometimes be a negative, especially if you're overlooking the red flags that are right in your face. When a woman desires to control you, principle number one, envy likes to control. So when somebody thinks that, there's certain traits about you, let me backtrack. There are certain traits about you that they absolutely love. But they don't love it in a healthy way. They love it in an obsessive, creepy, stalker kind of way. They love your personality and your presence so much so that they become possessive. An envious woman toward another woman, as I said before, is much like a man. They want to control you. All of the beautiful, wonderful qualities about you, they think it should be for them and them only. And when you're not allowing yourself to be isolated in that way, that's when an envious person can get very jealous. See, envious people, sometimes they feel like you don't deserve what you have, but people who are envious and controlling and possessive over you, they feel like nobody else should have access to you but them. But Mimi and Mo, back to that story. Mimi, she actually made plans to go on a trip without Mo. She wanted to hang out with some other friends. It wasn't malicious or anything. She just made plans without her. And Mo, she snapped. She didn't like the fact that she was doing something without her. And this brings me to another point, because I've heard of some women, and you would think this is like high school mentality, but unfortunately, you have a lot of grown women who still think this way. The moment you're friends with somebody outside of them, they start treating you differently. The moment your life starts revolving around something other than just constantly following after them, they start hating you and disliking you and looking for ways to sabotage the things you have going on. But Mo, she did not like the idea that Mimi made plans to go out of town without her. Now, there's some speculation that they actually had a relationship. I'm not going to pretend to understand, but that's a strong possibility based on the outcome of how everything went down, because that definitely sounds like some kind of passionate crime, which is crazy. But even if it was not that, there are some women, just because they feel like they should always have access to you and that your life should revolve around them, when you don't give that to them, they snap. They begin to crash out. Or at the least, they begin to hate you and treat you very nastily. But this young lady, unfortunately, she paid the ultimate price. And I was also hearing that not only, they were friends, but this woman who did this to her, she was taking advantage of her. She didn't have a job. The person who unfortunately took this young lady's life, she didn't have a job. She wasn't contributing anything to their household. They were roommates, and yet Mimi, the young lady who lost her life, she was contributing everything. She was paying for her food. She was paying for her upkeep. She was, she was a friend to this young lady, from what I was hearing. And from what other people said about her, she was goofy. She was nice. They showed her, said she was beautiful. She just sparkled wherever she was at. People just enjoyed being around her. Unfortunately, and this is not to say, because that young lady sounds like she was an absolute joy to be around and that she was blessed to have that kind of character, that kind of personality. I would never say for you to dumb down your personality or your character in order to make a hater, a jealous person, an envious person feel comfortable. I will not say that. But what I will say is that some of us have to start treating ourselves more sacred and being more exclusive with who we allow access to us. There's nothing unhumble or non-humble about being exclusive with yourself, about treating yourself as sacred and recognizing that you are unique, that you are different, that your personality is not like the average woman out here. Because a lot of women, like I've said before, they will take advantage of that sweet spirit. And you have to be aware when somebody is taking advantage of you and when somebody is being a little bit too controlling with you. That woman sounded like she wanted her to herself. They even said that she tried to isolate her from her family. She didn't want her going to different gatherings and things like that, which further makes me think that they were more than roommates. But even still, I have heard and seen in some regular friendships how other women get very jealous when you do something outside of them. That's a lot of the reason why a lot of women prefer to have a lot of acquaintances and, maybe persons that they hang out with once in a while, but nobody they're really that tight with. Because unfortunately, to an envious person, sometimes that means being really tight with them means that they own you, that they control you. And when you start getting whiffed of the fact that they're trying to control you, they start using manipulation. They said this young lady, Mo, she would actually fake seizures in order to gain empathy from Mimi. Envious people, jealous people for that fact too, they know how to use manipulation in order to tug at your heartstrings. They know how to play on those strong qualities about you, that empathy, that sympathy that you show toward other people. They know how to tug on your heartstrings and manipulate people into falling for their tricks. If they really want control over you, if they're envious of other people wanting you or wanting you around or wanting you to do different things, they start implementing manipulation. And unfortunately, it seems like this young lady, she was so empathetic. She was so, there for her. She really cared for her as a friend should. But you have to understand when somebody is being possessive of you. Nobody has a right to control your comings and goings unless you're a child. Nobody has a right to tell you where you can't go or how you can move or what you can't wear or what you can't do. And then people, they even said that this young lady, because she was such a bright light, she was having such a good time. She actually, they had an argument because she was smiling and, doing all these different things. She was a beautiful person and she didn't like the attention that she was getting from other people. That is possessive. That is somebody trying to control you. And envy likes to control. If this young lady didn't have a sweet personality, if this young lady didn't have that likability, if other people were not drawn to this young lady, I'm sure she would care less. But when people are envious of the qualities about you, when people are envious of the fact that how you are gained you a lot of respect, a lot of opportunity, you have people that want to be around you, they feel like they're in some kind of danger of losing you. And in a way, it seems like this person, Mo, she actually feared that she was going to lose Mimi, so she had to do something about it. Beware of friends who feel like that you are their possession, that somehow you their property because you're their friend. I've seen this in high schools. I've seen this in college age kids. And unfortunately, I haven't seen this with some grown people where they have all out arguments because now a woman is hanging out with a new person. They have this whole no new friends mentality. You have some grown women who have that no new friends. Like, oh, I don't want you hanging out with her. Why are you hanging out with her? So you didn't invite me, but you invited her. As if every single thing that you do has to be about them. Envy likes to control. The very things they like about you, they don't want anybody else to have access except for them. When somebody is starting to control you and trying to use manipulation to control you, don't be surprised if every time you have plans to do something with somebody other than them, now they have extreme emergencies. All of a sudden you're going out with a friend from work and your so-called best friend, now she has an emergency that needs tending to. You're going out with a family member and your friend, well, now she has some kind of dire need that she absolutely needs you to cover her in this position. This coworker, somebody that you might be okay with, not even a best friend. Ladies, please understand, some women are weird in that way where they're envious of you, where they like certain things about you, but they don't want anybody else to like it. They don't want anybody else to be drawn to you. And you don't have to be that close to one another for somebody to start acting that way towards you. Just see it when you've ever been at work and, somebody you've known for years, you've been talking to, which is great. You might have grown a little friendship, a work friendship, and you start talking to somebody else. Watch how fast they change up if they're envious toward you. If they believe that everything about you should only be for them. Like, we've been talking all this time, so why are you talking to her? They always see new people, and this is a principle here. Envious people, when they desire to control you and feel like you're their possession, they see new people as a threat. They feel like suddenly that person is going to take you away and they're not going to have that access to manipulate and control you. And I know some people might be thinking, well, that's sweet. If somebody feels that much about you, they like you that much that they just don't want anybody else to be around you. That's not healthy. That's not healthy for a man. It's not healthy for a woman. It's not healthy for anybody to feel like they should be the only ones having access to you. But some people, because of their empathy, because of their kind nature, you don't recognize when somebody's trying to control you and they're using manipulation to do it. And let's go back to that suddenly when things are going on in your life, now they have some kind of dire need. Every time you have a family function or something important's happening in your life, they have something more pressing that needs to be tended to. Not only is that manipulation, but that's a little bit of narcissism also, in my opinion, where people like to turn things around and make it all about them when you have something going on. Not for the fact that they want the attention on them, but they want you to be on them. They want your attention on them. They want your focus. They want your time and attention and your presence. This woman, Mo, she was so jealous and envious of Mimi, because I believe jealousy played a part in that too. Because anytime a woman is beautiful, likable, respectful, she actually, I forget the award they said she gained because of just her personality and her works of service, but she was getting recognized for a lot of good things. And here she has this roommate who's a bum, essentially. I have to say it how it is. I don't like to call any human beings a bum, but what she did was a bum thing to do. And she was mooching off of Mimi. This woman, she took advantage of this young lady's kindness and she paid the ultimate price. Now she's going to pay the ultimate price. Justice will always come for an envious, jealous person. Keep that in mind. But people who desire to control you and isolate you, you see this a lot with men and women relationships, intimate relationships. I've heard and seen many people, they get married, they get in a relationship, and now they're like, I haven't seen my family in years. He doesn't want me to be around my sister. And you know, sometimes when I hear stuff like that, I believe that people who are so envious and jealous and possessive of another person, they don't want you to get around other people sometimes that they know will influence you away from them in a positive way. Because a lot of times when a woman is so empathetic, so sweet, so kind, you can't see what's right in front of you, but other people can see it. Other people can see, hey, she's a little bit controlling. Hey, you didn't see how she was acting when you said you was going out with so-and-so? You didn't see how she cut her eyes at you? You didn't see that her whole attitude, her mood changed up when you said what you said? People on the outside looking in can often see the things that, unfortunately, a sweet, little bit naive spirit cannot see. And that's why a lot of people who are envious of other people and seek to control, they want to isolate you from people who can open your eyes and make you see that this person is a snake. This person is dangerous. This person is about to crash out. They're very jealous of you. Did you see how they act when you were telling that story? Did you see how she was looking at you when you brought up so-and-so's name and said that you were going out with her? Did you even see that? And they'll just try to justify the behavior because that's what a lot of overly empathetic people do. They look at people and say, no, she didn't probably mean it that way. You know, that's my girl. That's my girl. We've been hanging out for years. That's my girl. And then next thing you know, your girl got you in a chokehold or she's trying to hurt you because she's envious and jealous. She doesn't want anybody else around you. And she already thinks you don't deserve what you have in the first place. But at least if you're going to be that kind of woman, only she should have access. And I truly believe this is the way this woman, this monster, this snake, I believe that's the way she was with Mimi, unfortunately. But ladies, beware of envious people because envy and jealousy, they are along the same vein. But envy says you don't deserve what you have or somebody doesn't deserve you, only me. That's obsessive, and possessive envy. When they feel like nobody else should be around you and that whatever you have going on should only be reserved for them. They get very controlling, very possessive. Don't let people tug at your heartstrings, manipulate you into being isolated because they don't want other people to have access to what you're giving to them. That is dangerous. And envious people who don't have a handle on that emotion, on that wicked spirit, they will very much so crash out on you in some way. And unfortunately, many women have paid the ultimate price, and you definitely don't want that to be you. So if you have a girlfriend who is saying, you know, you're my friend, my best friend, no new people, that's not cute. That's something you need to be on the lookout for. And you should actually be practicing putting a little bit of a distance between you so that she can become accustomed of standing on her own and not acting like you're her property. All right. Like and subscribe to the channel and share this content. Hit the notification bell so that you're aware when I post a brand new video. If you watch this video until the very end, put the high heel emoji in the comment section. I absolutely love to see it. Take care.